Hello, welcome. Thank you for coming. I have no idea if you're here, but I suppose you are. So thank you. And we are going to talk about coding fast and slow. The idea is to apply Daniel Kahneman's insights to improve developer practices and efficiency. And this is Professor Daniel Kahneman. Unfortunately, we collectively, the world, lost one of its greatest minds last year. The good news are that a lot of the research that Professor Kahneman did is actually still with us. Interestingly enough, Professor Daniel Kahneman, whose work is in behavioral psychology, got a Nobel Prize in economics. This is the official wording for having integrated insights from psychological research into economic science, especially concerning human judgment and decision-making under uncertainty. What it means in layman's terms is, if you ever took any class that has something to do with economics, this is how it starts. People are rational. This is why markets work. We assume that people will look for buying better product cheaper. They will prefer what they need to what they don't need, etc., etc. Now, Professor Kahneman proved definitely that people aren't rational. Here is 50 years of study that prove it once and for all. They are not rational. And then the economists go like, ooh, wow, they really aren't. It probably has profound effect on economics. It kind of disproves everything we know about. Here's a Nobel Prize for you. And then you go to the next economics 101. People are rational. That's why market works. And if you want to read one book from Daniel Kahneman, that probably should be it. Thinking Fast and Slow. This is, I think, two before last books that he wrote. And the last two are much heavier in research and stuff, kind of not very layman reading. But this book, I think, is one of the most important books in human behavior at all times. And obviously, you can see by the name, Thinking Fast and Slow, this is kind of the name of our talk, Coding Fast and Slow, because a lot of what we're going to talk about today comes from this book. And I want to start with an exercise. It's not a new one. It's been forever. People might know it. If you know it, kind of let other people try it because it is going to be fun. Now, for the rest of you who don't know the answer, the key here is to answer as fast as possible, like on a reflex, without thinking, okay? And you just shout the answer because I need to hear what majority of people say. Sounds good? All right, let's do it. A bat and a ball cost $1.10 in total. The bat costs $1 more than a ball. How much does the ball cost? Shout. You're joking, right? You should shout $1 because $1.10. And that would be obviously the wrong answer. If the bat costs $1, the total would be $1.20. The right answer is 5 cents. And you kind of ruined the entire exercise by solving it. And I will assume you just knew it. Because if you are like most of the people, you would definitely say $1. And there is a very good, like $1.10. And there is a very good reason for it, and we will get to it in a second. My name is Baruch Sadogursky. I'm at Baruch everywhere at internet, and I'm a head of developer relations at Tuxcare. We are hiring very extensively in Eastern Europe in particular. So if you are interested, let's talk. I'm a developer productivity nerd. The thing about how can we make ourselves, developers, more productive, it's been on my mind forever. And this talk is kind of a lot of what I learned. Started as a developer and then switched to DevOps with an amazing company called JFrog that you probably heard about. And later in my career, I really became obsessed with developer productivity. Java Champion wrote a couple of books about Java, DevOps, and developer productivity, DevOps tools for Java developers, and Liquid Software. And you will see me again later today. With my partner in crime, Leonid Igolnik, we will do the closing keynote, Back to the Future of Software, which will also be very related to developer productivity, but this time with AI. So don't go home before the closing keynote. It's going to be amazing. All right, the most important slide of this talk is this. If you go to speaking.jbaruch, you will find the slides already uploaded, the video that I'm recording right now. Yes, I am. All the links, including Dr. Kahneman's work, including all the tons of research that I'm going to reference, everything is there. And to make it easier for you to remember, it's conveniently in the bottom of every slide, and you have a QR code that you can scan right now. With that, if you will have questions during this talk, this is the Slido link that you open in your browser, and then you can type in questions, comments. If we will have time, we'll get to them. If they're awesome, how about this t-shirt? It's an awesome t-shirt. I have some to give. Ask awesome questions. Get awesome t-shirt. All right. Professor Kahneman, the main idea of thinking fast and slow and coding fast and slow is the idea of two systems. We have two systems in our brain that work completely different. There is system one, which is extremely fast, works on intuition, automatic, emotional, and cheap and eager to serve. This is the system that is in work. When you hear $1.10, you automatically shout $1.10. If the ball is $1 and the bat is $1 and the ball is 10 cents, how much it is like together? 1 and 10. Why? Because this is your reflex. You saw a pattern and you immediately recognized it with your system one. And the system one is fast. You have the answer in a second. And it's also very eager to serve. You shout the answer without even thinking about it. System two, on the other hand, is exactly the opposite. All right. Sorry, that's important. All right. System two is exactly the opposite. It's very slow, analytical, controlled, logical, but also very expensive and lazy. So this will be the system that if you resisted from shouting $1.10 and take a second to think about it and do the math in your head, you recognize that it's actually $1.05. This is the other part of our thinking. It goes like this. System one goes like, oh, recognize the pattern. There is $1.10, so it's $1.10. I know the answer, I know the answer. And system two will be, wait a second. Let's think about it. Maybe it's a trap. If it's the Baruch talk, it's definitely a trap. So let's think about it, right? By the way, knowing that if it's in Baruch talk, it's a trap, it's system one. It's pattern recognition. All right, so let's do some more exercises that I'm sure you will ruin, but we will try. What's wrong with this code? Again, just shout. Oh, it's fine. Or an end. No arguments at all. Okay. Yeah, it crashes if there are no arguments. Fine. Okay, that's not the biggest problem. Huh? Yeah, there is like no error handling at all from any possible direction. Yes, of course. It's a happy path. We're developers, we don't care about exceptions. Not closing the stream. Again, I don't care. Second condition never works. Well, kinda, sorta, in the area. Space, yeah. Thank you very much. The condition is always true. Since no word can start in the same time with a hashtag and the two slashes, this condition will always be true, and the fix is this should actually be and not or. Okay, you did some heavy exercising. You were reading code that and especially pretty cryptic one, again with a trap, that was heavy. Now let's do something completely different. What I want you to do is shout the color of the letters and not what's written on the screen. You ready? Shout. Okay, I don't play with you anymore. If you are like most of the people, that shouldn't have happened. Obviously, it's fine, but you get the gist. The idea is that, again, System 1 really want to answer what it reads on a screen. Like, shout orange here. And you really need to work hard in order to prevent it from happening and put System 2 to work. The reason why you did the Java exercise before is to get your System 2 tired and make it even more expensive to put it to work. And that's because you have mental fuel. There is tons of research about mental fuel. And what you saw with the colors here is the experimentation that Professor Kahneman did 50 years ago. This is how Professor Kahneman discovered that there is a mental fuel. If you exhaust your System 2, then it will be even more lazy to answer because your battery of your System 2 will be down. The fascinating part is that only a couple of years ago, a physical proof of mental fuel was found. This is a fascinating grid that I don't understand any of it, called Attention and Capacity Limits in Perception, a cellular metabolism account. It's full of this stuff that obviously I have no idea what it is. So what do? We ask ChatGPT. Explain a paper, Attention, Capacity Limits and Perception, a cellular metabolism account to me, Barney style, in one paragraph or less. In case you don't know what Barney style is, this is Barney. So it goes like this. Imagine your brain has a smartphone battery that drains as you use the app. The paper said that our brain has a fixed amount of energy, like a phone battery, and then when you do something that needs a lot of focus, like reading Java code, it's like running a power-hungry app. It uses more of your brain energy. That's exactly what happened. And then it starts closing the apps to save battery, and it makes harder for you to use your System 2. And you will have less energy for important stuff, and important stuff that requires System 2 will actually operate on System 1, because you don't have batteries for System 2. Right? And so this bunch of stuff, again, from the research. The idea is that your cellular metabolism is your mental fuel. And you have a finite battery supply, and high load versus low mode kicks in. And your low mode is exactly what Professor Kahneman spoke about. This is you running on System 1 instead of running on System 2. Right? Let me ask you a question. Which system you think you use when you write code? No Copilot. Who thinks you use System 1? Some hands. Okay, who thinks you use System 2? like 90% of the people, and I agree with you. We use system 2 because we need the analytical, we need the controlled, and we need the logical. We most definitely use system 2. This is your software engineering. Another research. Okay, I need my show notes. Chist and Mihai. Here you go. Mihai Chist and Mihai invented the term flow. And we all know what it is. Flow is the state of effortless concentration, so deep that people lose their sense of time, themselves, and the problems. Now, this is your in the zone. This is your flow when you're writing code. And the weird thing here is the word effortless. Because we just mentioned it. It's system 2. It uses fuel. How it can be effortless? Well, as opposite to a smartphone battery, we actually have a hack in our brain that allows us to constantly use system 2, draining very little energy. It's one of the human's brain miracles that I wish they could implement in smartphones, but they didn't. In our brain, we can use heavy draining energy without wasting energy, but only when we are in the flow. What is very expensive? Attention control. If we are not in the flow and we try to force ourselves being there, this is what costs a lot. And we have a problem. Another amazing professor, Dr. Gloria Mark, spent the last 15 years researching human attention. Last year, she released a book with summarizing all of her knowledge that it's called Attention Span. And this book is profound by itself. And I want to bring you 3 facts from it. And again, we will guess. Is email stealing your focus? The average person checks their email how many times a day? Shout. 50, 100, 70, 1,000. That's an interesting assumption. 10. Okay, so we have 2 outliners, 10 and 1,000. We throw them away, and we end up with 50, 70, and 100. You are amazing. Right on the money. 77 times. I mean, that was a revelation for me. I expected it to be double digits. I didn't expect it to be 77. That's like a lot. Okay. Our attention span has dwindled to how much time we look at each screen. Go for it. Shout. You're good. Go for it. Write in code. How much time do we look at the screen? 15 minutes, hours. Reading email. How long are we looking at the screen? 15 seconds, 10 seconds. Reading Slack. How long? Huh? 12 minutes. Okay. Average of that, how much time on every screen? 3 minutes. 47 seconds. That's not a lot. And the most amazing of all for our discussion here is how much time it takes to get back to the task at hand after interruption. 23, 5, 10, 50, 15, 20. All right, yeah, pretty close, but if we average your suggestions, we're definitely lower than surprising 25 minutes. This 25 minutes is profound and scary. So let's say you run build. You run like Gradle build or Maven build. And your build takes 1 minute. What do you do during this 1 minute? You'll probably wait for it, right? 1 minute is okay. 3 minutes? Who will wait for a build for 3 minutes without losing the attention and doing something else? Yeah, a couple of people. You're very resilient. The rest of you will switch if the build is 3 minutes. Okay, you switch to reading emails. how long your build actually is. 25 minutes. Thank you very much. Once you switched from your build to anything else, congratulations, your build is now 25 minutes. This is scary stuff. All right, it's been a while since you did some Java puzzlers. What's wrong with this code? Multiply with doubles. All right, that was fast. Yes, multiply with doubles. You really shouldn't use doubles for currency because obviously it's not precise and it also will look very, very ugly in the output unless the numbers are very round and nice like here. Okay, let's do something else. Let's count triangles. How many triangles? Four, come on. 7, 9, 15, 16, 27. Okay, you're just guessing. I said count 10, okay. 14, 18, 17, all right. 37, okay, that's a good guess. 19, yeah, 16. All right, who said 18? You got a t-shirt. 18. It doesn't matter, not really. What I wanted for you is to switch context from Java to something else. Back to Java. Multiplying doubles. All right. Anything else? Yeah, that's a lot of tax. Yeah, that's like Trump's tariffs and stuff. Yeah. All right, so you got it. Some of the people already said it. It's like multiplying or dividing by 100, and that's correct. Now, what I want you to notice is this is a much easier problem to spot than the one that was before triangles. But it took you longer because of the freaking triangles. Context switching depletes your mental fuel. It definitely did. You just experienced it. You also taking off the flow by context switching. And that ruins the magic, the hack of flow. Now, your concentration is not effortless. It's very, very expensive. So it's a lose-lose. You wasted fuel on context switching, and you are not saving fuel, but not being in the flow. You need more fuel, but you actually have less. All right, more research. Categorizing and predicting mental fatigues during programming tasks. Now, this is very, very unexpected. You would never guess. When you are tired, you produce worse code. Developers are cutting corners when fatigued. Who could have guessed? But research. And you might say, okay, yes, I'm less productive. Yes, I work less. But when I'm tired, I will just defer it for tomorrow. Right? Wrong. We don't know where to quit. And Professor Kahneman proved it profoundly with an astonishing experiment. So he observed parole judges who will either grant paroles or deny paroles. The default decision for this panel of parole judges is obviously to deny parole. They need to be convinced to let someone go who still has a sentence time to serve. So the default is to deny. Amazingly, fewer paroles were given when judges were tired or hungry. Basically, before lunch and before they go home, less paroles were given. Now, obviously, this wasn't a deliberate behavior. Parole judges want to do a good job. If they realized that their behavior is affected by hunger and tiredness, they would definitely stop. But they didn't realize it. We don't know where to stop. And the reason is, granting parole needs System 2, and the judges were unaware when they switched automatically to System 1 and gave the default answer of denying parole. This is very scary and very unfortunate for people who got in front of judge before lunch. But there is a huge lesson to learn here. We really don't know when to stop, even if we really want to do the right thing. Now, when we switch to System 1, people don't go to prison or don't stay in prison, but we're just starting coding on System 1. And we fall back to automatic, emotional, cheap, and eager coding, which means our code won't be as good, won't be as performant, won't be as elegant, won't be as clean. Now, someone might say now, wait a second. Yeah, okay, so before that, I forgot this animation. Code that is written on System 1, I call it OK code. It works, we have tests that prove it compiles because otherwise we won't be able to write it, but it's not great. It's okay. And now someone might say, wait a second. This is the wait a second slide. How about intuitive? Who thinks they can write code like on System 1 easily just like because we did it so many times? I assume, you're just being shy because you can definitely write code on System 1, even when you're tired. Some code, right? Not all code, but some code you can write on System 1. So, is it like that bad? What happens with intuition? Let's talk about intuition for a second. Professor Kahneman defines intuition as execute skilled responses and generate skilled intuitions after adequate training. The whole thing about how great we are with intuition was popularized by Malcolm Gladwell in his book Outliers. It's a very good book, but it also got tons of criticism because what Malcolm Gladwell is saying is this: 10,000 hours of practice move some activities from being System 2 to being System 1. You want an example of this and how this is 100% on point? Driving. How many of you have a driving license? No, all of you. How many of you remember how stressful System 2 painful was your first driving lessons? Most of you remember. How about now? Is it System 2 or System 1? It's definitely System 1. I can tell you about myself. Sometimes I go somewhere and I'm so like on System 1 that I like, hey, where am I? Why am I here? Because System 1. So definitely practice moves some activities from System 2 to System 1. Is writing code one of them? Because if it was, we're all experienced developers. We should definitely be able to write code with System 1. But there is a caveat. And this caveat is what activities can be moved from System 2 for System 1. Activities like driving, like playing golf, like playing tennis, like playing music, or even safety drills for firefighters. There is a story in Thinking Fast and Slow which proves this point very interestingly. There was a story about a firefighter brigade leader that during a firefight suddenly realized that the building is going to collapse. And he called out his entire team, and once they got out, the building collapsed. And this looks like amazing intuition insight. How did he know? They asked him, and he said, I have no idea. I just thought that it's going to happen. They started to backward engineer his thinking, and they discovered that the reason was the noise of the fire has changed. And it has changed because it got to the basement where it was a different supply of air, so the noise was different. And once the fire goes into the basement, this is where the building collapsed. How did he know to notice it without even being aware? Endless drills. The knowledge moved from system 1 to system 2, from system 2 to system 1, and now the intuition worked. Now, what is common in all those activities? Repetition. What else? There are physical activities, muscle memory and stuff. What else? Understanding from many points of view. There is another name for it that I'm looking for. And that's for a t-shirt now. Pattern, yes. What else? Repetitive, very close, yes. Okay, never mind. I keep the t-shirt. Short feedback loop. The feedback loop of plan, execute, observe, and improve must be short, repetitive, immediate. You learn to drive a car, you swing out of the road, your instructor will correct you, you won't do it again. Or you will do it again and then will correct you again until you stop doing it. Playing tennis. You hit the ball wrong, you will see that the ball goes to the wrong direction. And you will keep doing it until you get it right. Where we don't have it, where we don't have a short loop, this software engineering. We can do it on small stuff. That compiler will tell us immediately that if we type, instead of system.out.println, we just do println, it won't work. And if we do it again, it won't work again. And again, it won't work again. At some point of time, we will learn that we need to do system.out.println. So this can be moved to system 1. But designing complex systems, writing elegant code, choosing the right software engineering decisions have a very long feedback loop. Sometimes it never gets closed. You left the company way before someone discovered that your design wasn't the best. Sometimes it just takes very, very long time. Software engineering is not something that you can move from system 2 to system 1, unfortunately. So, yes, once you switch to system 1 for coding, you are definitely in the area of OK code. Your code will compile because instinct, you moved it to system 1, and now you know how to write system.out.println. But it won't be great code because great code requires system 2. Not great, not terrible. Let me ask you a question. Which sucks less? OK code that is written on system 1 or just outright bad code? Who thinks OK code is better than bad code? Okay, some hands, but you know where I'm going with it, right? Who thinks that bad code is better than OK code? Surprisingly, not the most of you. And probably the others either asleep or don't have an opinion. Good, I will convince you. I believe that bad code is actually better than OK code. That OK code is worse than outright bad code because it flies under the radar. When we are tired, it looks OK to us. And we'll say, well, that works. because we are on system 1 already. Code reviewers, what do? Look good to me, right? Why do they look good to me? Because they're evil? No, because they're doing something else. And the only system that they have to review our code is system 1. The OK code goes further and further. It looks OK to the pipelines for the automatic checks, because the automatic checks are all, by definition, which system? System 1. So we got our OK code all the way from the commit at 5 p.m. when we are tired to production without anyone noticing that it's not great. With bad code, that would not happen. It won't compile for us, we would see it. If it makes compile, the pull request, even in the first class, will say, what kind of garbage is that? And then we have stuff like SonarQube and other stuff on pipelines that will catch that as well. Bad code won't pass. OK code will. And that's the danger in it. Next thing you know, you have an OK product. And I think you will agree with me that most of the software that are out there today is OK. This might be one of the reasons. So we have, just a little bit under 15 minutes to make Word a better place. How do we avoid switching to System 1 when coding? We need to invest in fuel-saving techniques. And our end goal is have enough mental fuel to last all day. So when we are at 5 p.m., we can still use it for writing great code. How do we do that? Let's start with time management. Time blocking allows us to get into the flow and stay there as long as possible. One of the ideas can be Pomodoro technique. Who knows about Pomodoro technique? Yeah, most of you, obviously. I'll just repeat because I want to drive a point home. Pomodoro technique is when you put a timer for a slot, like let's say 25 minutes, and then you have a 5 minutes break, and then 25 minutes of concentrated work. And you promise to yourself that during this timer, you won't get distracted, and you will do what you're supposed to do in those 25 minutes. Anyone sees any contradiction with what we spoke about previously? It takes 25 minutes to get into the flow. Yes, OK, fair enough. No, I mean something else. It looks like that after 25 minutes, we are forced to context switch, right? Because the timer is up, we were in the middle of coding, and we're not like, fuck it, I'm going to read emails. But that's not the idea. The 25 minutes is the minimum time slot. If you are in the zone, you keep going. You keep going for 4 hours until they drag you out of the room. But at least 25 minutes. Task batching. Remember the freaking triangles? Don't do that. If you do coding, you do coding. If you do puzzle solving, you do puzzle solving. Even if those tasks are different, pair them with similar tasks. Now, this is obviously easier said than done, especially in our world of interruptions, emails, Slacks, and meetings. Everyone wants our attention at once. How do you do that? One option will be, I'll just block all my calendar. No one will be able to get a hold of me, and that would be great. I will be able to code as long as possible. If you try that, or even you think about it, you know that it won't work. Because you really need to cooperate and work together with other people. So you need to be available sometime. Now, this sometime not always depends on you. Other people have other constraints. So you need to be flexible, but you still need to be able to block time and do task batching. One of the tools that I really personally love called Reclaim AI. Reclaim AI, it's a smart calendar that allows you to do exactly that. You define for it how much time do you need to be in focus every day, every week, etc., etc. What it will do, it will defer the decision where you will get this block to the latest moment possible. Your calendar will look free for other people. They will be able to block meetings with you, to book meetings with you when they are available. But as the week progresses, and you will have less and less free blocks, those blocks will solidify and will become a hard blocked time so you won't be interrupted. And this is very cool because it's a win-win. You are still available and you're blocking time to be in the focus. Highly recommend it. They don't pay me, unfortunately. I just love them. Okay, we just spoke about that. All right, what else? Mindfulness and cognitive practices. This sounds like a hippie bullshit, but now when we know that we have a battery in our brain, proved by science, wouldn't it be worth to kind of take care of it and make sure that we get the most out of it? Stuff like meditation, reflective practices, single tasking, forcibly think about one thing at a time. This stuff sounds like hippie mambo jumbo, but it actually works. Workspace and interruption management. We're back to the office, and now in the office, we sit in our desks with noise cancellation headphones on Zoom meetings. Exactly like at home, but with more interruptions. Yay! We need to fight that. We need to make sure that our workspace is organized so when we are in the zone, we are not interrupted. Obviously, notification management, but this is easy. It's like just turn them off, all of them, like forever. You will get to them when you are not in the zone, because otherwise you will never be in the zone. And that, as we learned, is terrible. Prioritization. Learn to say no to stuff or to say later to stuff that is less important now and keep being in the zone. Physical and mental well-being, again, let's take care of batteries properly. Go to gym. Where is Victor? Not here. Go to gym. Breaks and downtime. In order to focus, you need to get your battery to recharge and rest. Pomodoro technique says 5 minutes for every 25 minutes. If you are in the zone and you go for 2 hours non-stop, you need half an hour after that to rest. The only way to properly recharge your batteries is sleep. Period. No exceptions. There is nothing else the human body can do to recharge the batteries. Nothing else. Sleep is absolutely critical for you if you want to operate on System 2. There is not enough, I can say, to highlight this point. You have to. There are tons of research about that, and another great professor, Sarah Mendrick, wrote a number of books about the importance of sleep. One of them is particularly fun because it's about day napping. It's called Take a Nap. And it's absolutely awesome. Let me summarize you how you take a nap during the day. It's called a caffeine nap, and you do something very counterintuitive. You drink coffee before you go to bed. And then you go to bed in a dark, cold, and quiet room. You put an alarm for 20 minutes, and then you wake up refreshed with batteries recharged. How does it work? Very simple. Caffeine takes 20 minutes on average, to start working. Brilliant. Do that a lot. This is awesome. And last but not least, coding practices. How do we make our code and our tools support our system too? Automating stuff. If you automate it, it will run without you needing to switch context to it. Shorten feedback loops. Remember the build example? It's either what? We said 1 minute or 25 minutes? Make it 1 minute. Make sure that you get the feedback you need without context switching. Delegate to tools. What tool I'm talking about? AI. Use AI smartly. Thank you very much. There are different AI tools and models. Use the ones that make you the most productive. At the moment, specialized AI models win over general AI models. You will hear more about it in our closing keynote later today. Local AI gives you better control and better privacy and can be at times more stable than the cloud tools. You don't want to be distracted with fighting with the tool. This is one of the uses. What I'm really excited about, and again you will hear about it a lot in the closing keynote, is the agentic AI and the IDEs that can do it. Stuff like JetBrains Journey and Windsurf Cascade and Visual Studio Code with their agentic copilot. This is cool. It really allows you to focus on what's important, but delegating code, which can be written by itself, get written by itself. Using different models for different things matter as well. Codo, for example, is an agent that is focused on quality. So you can run it to verify that code that other agents generated is actually good. And last but not least, delegate to other people. The real question is how and when to delegate. When to delegate? I have a flow chart. Is the task your core expertise? Is this what you're really good at? If it is, just go ahead and do it. If it's not, is it really easy to learn? You want to learn more. You want to learn new stuff. If it's something that you can read about it and it's easy, go ahead, learn it, and then do it. If it's not easy to learn, it might still be worth learning. The next question is, do you have time to learn this new complicated thing? If you do have time, learn it and then do it. If you don't, delegate. This is obvious stuff. You know it. It's just nicely visual with cool colors. I'll give you an example. Security. You were delegated to do security by our security people who invented the term DevSecOps to make us, the developers, work harder. Because now it's suddenly somehow our problem. The problem with it, that it's not our core, what happened? No, it's okay. That it's not our core expertise, and it's extremely complicated. It's very hard to learn. There is tons of things to learn, and we don't have time to do it. Following our flowchart, this is where you delegate. One of the people that you can delegate your security to is TaxCare. Thank you for paying for being here. And what we do is, shameless plug, Secure Chain for Java. We produce and backport security fixes to the libraries that might not have been supported or end-of-timed and what's not. Instead of you trying to find the solution, we can find it for you. Talk to me, and I will tell you more. With that, let's talk about what we learned. The idea is to save mental fuel by managing our time correctly, managing our workspace correctly, managing our mental health correctly, engineering fewer interruptions in our work, and delegating when needed. With that, thank you very much. I'm at Baruch everywhere. This is GeeCON. When you praise this talk or not, use the GeeCON handle so they will retweet and you will get some props, whatever, praise. Speaking.Baruch is where you go for the slides, the video, and all the links. This is the QR code. We don't have any time for questions, but I am around. Oh, maybe 2 questions. Perfect. All right, let's do questions. Excellent. Love it. I need to do this. Here we go. What? Oh, that's not the right screen. Yes, absolutely. Let me see, how do I do that? I need to move this screen here. Did it work? Yes. All right, here we go. What do you think about TDD in context of speed? Excellent question. Come to our closing keynote, and you will learn a lot about what I think about TDD. Feedback loop software engineering is long. Feedback loop in software engineering is long, but maybe we can learn based on someone else's mistakes and legacy code when we see consequences. What do you think? Excellent question. You know what people are terrible in? Learning from other people's mistakes. We live in our own movie in which our experiences are completely unique. No one ever said, well, this is exactly the situation and I'm going to do what they did because that's the right thing to do. What we say to ourselves, yes, it looks familiar, but our situation is slightly different. We will have completely different results. So that unfortunately won't work. How much sleep time do you need to properly restore mental battery? Great question. On average, people need 7 to 8 hours of sleep. There are exceptions to both ways. There are people who can recharge their battery in 3 hours of sleep. Probably it's not you. Don't lie to yourself. And there are unfortunate people that need to sleep like 12 hours in order to do something in life. On average, 7 to 8. And if you want a good rule of thumb, never do less than 7. I did 3 this night because I had to work on my keynote. Not a great experience. Don't recommend, 0 stars. Regarding written color names, we can easily respond when we blur our sight to avoid focusing on the meaning. You cheated. I knew it. There is a way to blur our mind for improved focus. Yes. You can go into a task with a mental focus on using system 2. You can put an effort in suppressing system 1. The problem with it, it's very expensive. You use system 2 in order to start using system 2. But it's definitely possible. And you know it. When you kind of try to, what you just did, right? Okay, Baruch is going to trick me. I'm not going to say the first thing that comes to my mind. This is that. You force yourself to use system 2. Unfortunately, it's very tiring. Do you think the amount of mental fuel decreases as we get older? Hell yes. Try to learn a new language when you are older, comparing to when we were kids. It's definitely degrading. This is the nature of batteries. We can kind of maintain it properly with all the items that we spoke about, but yeah, unfortunately, it's not going to be as you're 18 or when you're 80, unfortunately. What do you think of the influence of hormones like cortisol, stress, on our productivity versus the things that you showed? Is the impact order of magnitude even comparable? Great question. No idea. Probably one of those researchers that I didn't understand the word of it has the answer. Definitely, it has some impact. How much? That's way above my head. Sleep. Thank you very much. Definitely sleep. How to restore mental fuel during the day? You know the answer. Nap. Sleep. Caffeine nap. Do that. 20 minutes. Really, and you can do it in the office. Just tell everybody, hey, I'm out for a coffee. Not a lie. Drink a coffee. Go to your car. Sleep for 20 minutes. Come back. New person. Guaranteed. Guaranteed. Thank you very much.